honorable speakers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I introduce myself. I am Dr. Prashant Deshpande. I work with Reliance Industries as Vice President HR and also serve here in Indian Merchants Chamber as the member of the Skill Development Committee. I will be the MC for this first session, and for the rest of the program, Dr. Farida Devani, who is the professor and head of the department from MIT School of Management, she will be the person. So on behalf of organizers and INC, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all the guests to this conference in preparing Indian talent with skills for global employability. There has been some problem today in Mumbai because of the rains, and the public transport network has been not running properly, due to which many delegates and guests who are expected to come have not been able to reach to the venue. But despite such challenges, I really appreciate all those of you who have been able to fight against all odds and reach to the program venue so early in the morning. And today is an important day, very important day. It's International Yoga Day. The entire world is celebrating a life skill which Indians developed over the centuries. And on a national scale, we are celebrating this. So we all pay homage to this heritage, great heritage, and begin our program on this auspicious day, which the entire world is celebrating as India's contribution to the world. With due respects to your own present time to be here, to learn, collaborate and network, and also our speakers, I'm sure that we will agree to keep our cell phones switched off or in silent mode. Please use tea, coffee breaks and the lunch time as an opportunity to network and interact with our panelists and speakers and other industry professionals. We will begin the program by an auspicious ceremony of lighting the lamp. Light symbolizes knowledge. Knowledge is the everlasting wealth that is capable of removing ignorance, just as the light removes the darkness. I invite our respected dignitaries, Mr. Chief Guest, Mr. Director General of INC, Mr. Arvind Pradhan, Chairman of the Skill Development Committee, Mr. Bijay Sahoo, and all the esteemed panelists and speakers sitting in the front rows to come forward and light the lamp. lamp which burns upwards. May this conference be instrumental to higher knowledge and ideals for each one of us. Now I invite on the stage the Director General of Indian Merchants Chamber, Mr. Arvind Pradhan, to offer the welcome address.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much all of you for having come here today, despite what Mr. Prashant mentioned about fine times here in Mumbai. We extend a very warm welcome to Mr. Deepak Kapoor. He has come here despite his very, very busy schedule. We know we have been to him. He has always ensured that he talks to us and guides us. And now he is saying that lamp which has been lit, he has actually started that particular lamp of skill development in Maharashtra. So first of all, I would like to welcome him. Mr. Kapoor is an IS officer of the 1991 batch from the Maharashtra Government. He was earlier Director and Municipal Commissioner Pune, Joint Managing Director SEDCO, and a Transport Commissioner of Maharashtra. He was also the Managing Director of the Maharashtra State Transport Corporation and the Maharashtra State Food and Civil Supply Secretary for the past 3 years. As Transport Commissioner, he is credited with introducing major reforms, including computerization of all learning licenses. So we are honored by your presence here. A few words about the IMC. IMC was set up in 1907, which is a century-old chamber of commerce and industry in the country, headquarters in Mumbai. It has over 2,700 to 2,800 direct members, comprising a diverse cross-section of industry. We have 220 trade and industry associations associated with us. There's a vibrant ladies' wing of around 2,000 members, an economic research and training foundation, the Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Trust, and a young leaders group. Overall, it reaches out to around 250,000 diverse businesses in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the important subject that we are on today is one where you may have read in the newspapers that talk about that 95 or 96% of our population is not having skill. Only, I'm told, around 4% has it, which is quite a disturbing sign, and we all want to ensure that our democratic dividend actually translates into a dividend. So with these words, I may now request Mr. Bijay, Sahoo, who is the chairperson of our Committee on Skill Development, to give his comments.
Thank you, Arvindji. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I extend warm welcome to Mr. Deepak Kapoor. When I met him for the first time nearly a month ago, I was very inspired that somebody in government service has taken actually social service as a mission and to contribute to the transformation of Maharashtra's skills requirement and taking all the youth, making them skilled, and is very concerned. And he wants not only skilling them, but also helping them in terms of employment. So he thinks well, and I thought we will join him in his mission. Tomorrow he has another program where he's trying to revamp the apprenticeship program of Maharashtra in line of government of Maharashtra, in line of central government. So we extend once again warm welcome to him and provide all support from INC, our incoming president, Mr. Bijay, Arvind and myself. We have met Mr. Kapoor and suggested that we will work very closely with him. Thank you, Mr. Kapoor. Ladies and gentlemen, when we started the Skill Development Committee in INC, we realized actually skill development is a national priority. So it's no longer an option. We cannot no longer as a nation to remain complacent to the requirement of skill development. If you look at the size of the problem, it's actually apparently unsurmountable without the coherent and concerted effort of every government officers, government machinery, NGOs, industry, academic institutions, industry associations. So if we don't just come together, it's going to be the biggest problem of our nation. What we say demographic change may turn out to be demographic disaster. And if you look at the size of the problem, every year, every month, 2 million young people, they become 18, they seek jobs. And in a year, 24 million, 2.4 crores young people, they're actually seeking jobs. Many of them give up, but at least 18 million of them, 1.8 crores, they continue to seek jobs. In last 10 years, you could see almost like 24 crores, which is bigger than most of the countries of this world. Young people, they actually, few of them got a job and most of them remain unemployed. So our rate of employment generation is declining and our number of young people wanting to join the workforce is increasing. And this population, whenever you are seeing Jat violence or particular movement in Gujarat or any youth movement, you are finding challenging this country, people coming together, becoming sometimes violent. You would go to the deep of that, the root of that, individually you diagnose and meet the person and say, why are you here? Actually, they are unemployed, they are unengaged, they are idle, they are reacting. So it will not only create an economic upheaval, it will actually create a social upheaval. So if we don't identify the problem, if we don't prepare ourselves as a nation, as a society to address this problem, imagine next 10 years, another 24 crores people, young people will join that, and 48 crores young people, out of them every year, we create few lakhs of jobs. Imagine 48 crores young people, 18 to 38, remaining unemployed, unengaged, and they are the young people of this nation. And that is bigger than America's population. So, one side we have one of the golden opportunities, and another side we have such a big problem, and if we don't address, it is going to create actually such a big problem for the nation. None of us can handle. None of us can be safe actually. Gunnar Middle said, poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere. We actually cannot live in our mansions in Bombay thinking that the nation let it go to hell, let the young people do whatever they want to do like. After some time, everybody will be threatened. So we have to actually wake up as a nation. Each of us has a responsibility towards this. You know, when the problem is so big, there are solutions. Solutions, many thinking minds, many serious people, many people who care for our country, care for our people, care for the society and the harmony, they have been thinking, what is the solution to this? Indian Merchant Chamber thought, we'll join that movement, we'll join that mission, and we'll actually participate in that process, whether with the government missionaries or NGOs or academic institutions, we'll work with all of them. So the size of the problem is big, and at the same time, the opportunity is actually viable, it's possible that we deal with it. So we thought of like 2-3 options. What is the solution to this problem? One way we looked at it, we saw when India will have over 480 million, 48 crores people, young people seeking employment, the world will be short of 570 million, 57 crores young people. So world needs people and India has people. So what do we do? Time immemorial. Even in our older civilization, from Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, our artisans, craftsmen, actually there are historical significance that they were actually migrating with the skills and doing the work. very recently, 1500 years ago, there are examples of Odia skilled craftsmen going to Indonesia, Malaysia, and building Kalim kind of temples. So there are examples people moved for jobs. People look at today, we have something like 14 million people, 14 million young people of this country. They actually work outside. And they send to us, to our country, $70 billion remittance money comes to our country. Last year, for the first time, it had a decline. Earlier it used to go in an increasing rate. Last year, because of the Gulf issues, there was a decline and it became $60 billion. I was interacting with the Kerala government officers. They were worried because Kerala, as a GDP, 36% of their GDP, they expect GDP. They actually depend on the remittance money. And if that, they get actually $17 billion, almost like 25% of remittance money coming to India actually goes to Kerala. So if Kerala could do it, actually we can do it. Each state can do that. And Kerala, perceptively, we have a perception that Kerala is actually, there is industrial on there is, resistance to war. But look at our people from Kerala. They go actually send billions of dollars to this country. Go to Kerala, go to their villages, see the human development index. You will not think Kerala villages are villages. You will love to go around and see people are healthy, happy, beautiful houses, clean roads. The villages, I had gone to a village, I said it looks like a urban, a town, nice town, our towns are big. This actually that's Kerala. So if Kerala could do it, every state of India could do it. So that's actually learning for us. And I was thinking, if in my interaction, I also work with the FICCI as a co-chairman of their skills development committee, and I was telling look, if what Kerala did, if each state does, and today we are getting say $70 billion, and we get 10 times of that $700 billion, and money multiplier is 5. Every dollar you gets into India, it changes 5 hands, and 5 people benefit. So if it is $700 billion you get inside India, that actually $3.5 trillion economic impact, current GDP is $2.2 trillion, that changes the game. Then you no longer you fight, no longer you have all these movements you are seeing, the violence you are seeing, reservations people are demanding for, all that is over. But actually this sounds easy, hypothetical. One has to work on this. The government machinery, the NGOs, the associations, the industry, the companies, all of us actually, each of us responsible Indian has to actually work towards it. Every person, like Arvind was telling, today in Economic Times he has said, 95% of Indian people, young people, are actually not satisfied. It's not that they are unskilled, somebody or other does something, everybody does something. It's not that they are unskilled, but they are not satisfied. The world doesn't recognize that. If you look at South Korea, 96% of their people is actually satisfied in vocational skills. That's good. And higher actually the vocational skill level, certification level, higher is the export from that country, stronger is the economy, stronger is the reserve and surplus of that nation. Much higher is the per capita income of that country. So in every index you see they do much better than rest of us. So what is the solution? The solution in one side is how do we actually support these 480 million young people, those who have come in the last 10 years and those who are going to come in the next 10 years, in terms of skilling them, certifying them, and also facilitating the process of not only seeking jobs in India, which is not there actually. In India we are creating just few lakhs of jobs, but supporting them actually go and work outside. And in that, our government is actually doing tremendous effort. If you have been reading newspapers, the government is trying to work with every single country, saying that how the labor mobility, like we have capital mobility, like we have trade, world trade. So how actually labor mobility is facilitated. One is there will be artificial resistance to allow Indian labor, Indian skilled people come and work. Second is there will be necessity. If you go to North Europe, if you go to Japan, the people are old. Actually, in North Europe, it is a necessity. In Japan, they tried, like they will work with robots, and the old people will be actually supported by robots. And then they figure out, despite that, they need actually nursing assistance. And then they worked on Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand. They said, you can send nurses for fixed period on regulated basis to Japan, but they will not be Japan citizen, they have to go back. So in a structured manner. So they come, they work, and then they go back. So then we will allow that. Last year, they had a shortage of 25,000 nurses. Now 25,000 nurses, $50,000, of salary for each. It's like $1.2 billion revenue opportunity. Now they didn't get those 25,000 people from Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, etc. We are actually looking for nurses from the other countries. Just imagine for a while, our Kerala is strongest. Actually, I told the Secretary of Kerala, I said, sir, you could start developing your nurses, train them in elementary Japanese language, and tell them in machine-man interface in healthcare. Because most of the Japanese people, they are actually heavily depending on the robots for their support. So if you can train these two additional skills, maybe you can send 25,000 people more to Japan and get $1.2 billion additional revenue. This is just symptomatic. This is a small example. But there could be, you can identify country by country, skill by skill, which country needs people. What we see is newspaper headline, America imposed, H1 visa higher fee or L1 visa higher fee. But America is America. There are rest of the world. There are rest of the world which actually needs Indian skills. So we, according to me, we take the least resistance path. We flow like a river. What a river does, it actually finds out its path. So sometimes when there is resistance of the hill, it actually goes, it takes roundabout and flows. And then year after year it keeps carrying the water monsoon after monsoon and keep cutting the rock and becomes a river. So river becomes ephemeral to eternal. When a small little water oozes out of the mountain, it could dry. But when the water is determined, my destination is the ocean, and I am going to flow monsoon after monsoon, collecting water and taking the least resistance path, then it achieves its goal. I think similar solution we can take to our problem, our skills problem, sending our people outside India. That problem we should identify skill by skill, nation by nation, and facilitate the process. Kapusha, that is also a government's responsibility to look at how actually put a team together who in a structured manner actually doing this analysis. We have with us Mr. Irudaya Rajan, who is actually head of the development studies in Kerala. He has been doing tremendous work in terms of the migration from Kerala, etc. He will share his experience. My studies are limited to my academic interest, but he has much deeper expertise in this area. What comes to my mind is, by any resistance we should not stop, because stopping is not an option for our country, for all of us. So one is that. Second is, if you look at which sector actually absorbs maximum number of people in our country, it is actually not the corporate sector. It is either government is the biggest employer or SMEs. Earlier it used to be agriculture, but agriculture keeps people engaged, but not productively, not with proportionate return of their efforts. So people look at, one is government people are working, second is maximum people are in SMEs. What corporate sector is doing, manufacturing sector, they are automating processes, which earlier the man was making, now the robot. If you go to Chakan, the industrial belts, you should see Mercedes plant and all other automobile plants. No longer man does work there, robots do the work there. So it is with advanced robotics, Internet of Things, automation of knowledge work, with all these things coming in, 3D printing, you no longer require a welder, because welders' work will be done by 3D printing adhesive technologies. So should we stop that? I don't think so we should stop that. If we stop that, then economically will be unviable internationally to compete with China, Japan, Germany. We should not stop that. We should encourage industries to do that. But what is the alternative? Where do our people go? So we have to find out our people are actually the SMEs, Our Prime Minister gave a slogan, startup and stand up. So what startup does, rather than seeking employment, if every person look, actually how do I create employment, how do I do some entrepreneurship, that will also observe maximum number of young people. So one side, how do we make our people ready to go and work outside India? Second, how do we make our people really skilled, they work in SMEs and other sectors? Third, how we actually support our people to do startups, to do their own entrepreneurship. If 1 crore people, they say we are going to do startups, and each of them employ 10 people. So you have 10 crore people observed, 100 million people observed. And it's not hypothetical, it's possible. It is possible if we create ecosystem. Earlier it was very tough to start a company, close a company, young people, now 22-year-old. My son, when he was 20, 21-year-old, he was doing the engineering. He said, Dad, I don't want to sit in the campus placement. I said, what will you do? He said, I'll do my startup. I couldn't imagine that. I was thinking, how do I get my job and then start earning money? But he said, no, I'm not going to take jobs. I'm going to do my startup. And now young people are bold. What they don't know is the tough things. You have to go through the regulatory processes. You have to go through arranging money. You have to arrange the talent. You have to look for the market. But they're bold enough. They're like my river path philosophy. They're figuring out their path. They are determined. So the first project he worked on is a digital pen, and the second project he's working on is machine learning, artificial intelligence. So they think the thoughts like any American, any European, any Japanese, any German thing. We didn't think those thoughts. Now our younger generation which is actually coming up, they are very bright. The government machinery and our social preparedness, like we each of us as parents have to give our children a chance. He wants to start up, let him do. So that courage also the society has to master. You look at Gujarati, Rajasthani, Marwadis and other business communities. What do? They don't go for jobs. They actually inspire, encourage their children to do business. And eventually what happens, they not only take care of their family, but they take care of 100 other families. So those kind of social norms, social respect for those professions have to get created. The girls should start, getting ready to get married with non-employees and startup founders. So if the girls say, no, he doesn't have a job, I will get married, where will these startup founders go? So, we have to actually prepare our society as well. So that is that's a section a lot of people can get absorbed in. What I did in my presentation, I actually gathered all of these in slides, and I'll quickly run through my presentation. But my presentation is essentially what I already spoke about. This is what I talked about, India's young demography. I always showed global migration of talent, global migration towards global employability, demand side of employability technology and changing skill requirements, supply side of employability reforms and innovations in education and skilling, can we replicate talent export success stories like in Kerala, role of employers and skill providers towards the open world learning, working and preparing together. Look at India at the center, very dense. The density is the density of population, the density of people, and that too young people. Look at the age. Japan has not been shown. Japan is the highest, 46, it is the average age of Japanese. And look at Europe, second, 43. And in Europe, North Europe is the most aging society. Look at China, 38. And look at India, 28. India is the actually youngest nation of the world. People look at North America, 38. Out of 450 million people are there in North America, US. 12% of them are actually immigrants. They have gone, young people have gone from India, China, Israel, Ireland, Italy, and they are working there. That's why their average age is less. So that's the most intelligent society which continuously invites young people, intelligent people from all over the world and keep their GDP highest and per capita highest. Otherwise, what America is doing, Japan, whether they like it or not, they have to eventually do because their average age is 46. Had America not done, Americans' averages would have been also 46. So what happens now, if you see Japan's economy is declining, many people give many theories. But actually one substantive theory you research into will be people aging. When people age, productivity declines. And if you are artificially stopping young, intelligent people from the rest of the world coming and working, beyond a point you cannot resist. You have to give in. And when you give in, $4 trillion economy is waiting for young Indians to go and work there. So India will be a young country, not today. It will not till 2050. And after 2050, Africa will take over. So at least next, 34 years, I don't know whether I will be there or not, but at least next 1 or 2 generations, we can actually take care of the world in terms of skills and productivity. Look at this is terrible. India's young demography, a double-edged sword. You see, our number of employment is declining. How many people we employ is actually declining. It is not increasing. If you look at the industries we deal with, which is textile, leather, metals, automobiles, gems and jewelry, transport, BPO, IT BPO, and handloom, those are actually biggest recruiters and it is declining. If it is declining, we have to have an alternative. Otherwise, we have problems in this country. Now, our government has been, many thought leaders, many big people, big industrialists of the world, enlightened people of the world are saying today the initiatives of the government of India is actually supremely special and supremely brilliant. Even, if you look at American industrialists, like whether it is Jeff Bezos or, Cisco chairman John Chambers, they say actually India's programs should be every country's programs, should be America's programs. And what are those programs? It is Make in India, Digital India, Startup India, Swachh Bharat, Smart Cities, and Sagarmala. Believe me, if we as a nation just wake up to and align to these six initiatives that the government of India under our Prime Minister has decided, 80-90% of India's problem will actually be over. And 10-20% of the problems remain in any society and that will continue. Actually, this is the answer to India's problem and very thoughtfully done. I talked about the solution to global migration of talent. If you look at the US today, importers of talent has nearly 46 million talented people of the world they go to work in the US. Second is Russia. Third is Germany. Fourth is Saudi Arabia. And fifth is UAE. So these are the net large talent importers. And who is the exporter? Exporter number 1 is India, over 14 million people. And the next is Mexico. Third is Russia. And fourth is China. So these are actually the exporters of the talent. Countries with the maximum remitted amount, look at India, we got $69 billion, it was a decline last year by $1 billion. China got $64 billion. They also have good remittance money. Philippines has $26 billion, even if it is a very small country. Philippines is like, among countries of the world, it's like Kerala, our state, in terms of export population. Developing countries are $440 billion, total is $582 billion. Countries from which India gets money. Look at where India is getting money. UAE, $12.6 billion, United States of America, $11 billion, Saudi Arabia, 10, and Kuwait, 4.7. In this 4, if you see, we get nearly 50% of our India's net remittance from these 4 countries. So we have excellent relations with these countries and keep facilitating the process of our people going and working there. And that our government is eminently doing. So the global migration needs global employability. This will not happen because we are dreaming that our people should go and work outside India. Our people need skills that the world needs. Earlier with the traditional skills we managed, but with all the new technologies coming up and the new skills required, the emerging disruptive technologies need actually emerging skills. So we need to be prepared for that. These are the emerging technologies. One is mobile internet, automation of knowledge work, Internet of Things, cloud solutions, advanced robotics, autonomous and near autonomous cars, next generation genomics, energy storage, 3D printing, advanced robotics, advanced materials, advanced oil and gas exploration, renewable energy. So these are actually 12 disruptive technologies identified by McKinsey in 2013. Now MIT has added this year artificial intelligence, virtual reality and augmented reality as additional technologies. What these technologies do is kill old jobs, create new demand new skills. So we have a small team under my guidance. It is called Demographic Dividend Research Foundation. We continuously research into the disruptive technologies, how it changes the job configuration, what new skills are required, and how should actually India prepare for those skills. We keep making thematic research and analysis on that. So, one example I give in terms of our automation of knowledge work. India today has nearly 2.6 million of IT/ITS workers. The whole world has 23 million IT/ITS workers. Now, because of this automation of knowledge work, no longer an IT programmer will do programming. The program will do programming. In 2000, when I was leading Wipro Technologies worldwide, we used to engage 17,000 engineers for $1 billion of business. Last year, Wipro in its analysis gave that for $1 billion of business, they now recruit 7,000 engineers. Less number of engineers. And they said, over the next 5 to 7 years, they will just need 3,000 engineers to generate $1 billion of revenue. So what is happening? Earlier, if you are doing 1 million line of coding, now you can manage with 1,000 lines of coding. So now coding has become more like aggregation, summarization, than actually line by line coding. So if that happens, if 70% of our young IT/ITS workers become actually redundant, just imagine the problem for our country. Here are the people who get $165 billion to our country. And if they become unemployed, 70% of them become redundant, India's problem will be manifold. For the first time this year, you saw L&T Infotech, they had offered 1,500 software engineers, they withdrew the offer. They couldn't take them. You saw TCS, separated some engineers in Chennai, and for the first time the court decided now IT engineers can form unions, which we were dreaded in textile industry in Bombay. Now they say IT engineers can form unions. Whenever there is a shortage, then the problems come up. So these kind of shortage is happening. Now on the other hand, if you say IoT, Internet of Things, that's a new technology. Now that is creating $36 trillion impact, financial impact in the world. 50 billion devices are actually connected. Now that industry needs 4.5 million, not very big, but 4.5 million immediately, 4.5 million engineers. Now there are no trained engineers in the world for that. When we did the last research a year ago, 300,000 people were total IoT engineers in the world. Now world was needing 4.5 million engineers. So I was telling my IT friends, why don't you quickly train these IT engineers to IoT engineers and then deploy them? So one IT engineer gets $50,000 salary, one IoT engineer in US gets $150,000 salary. Has it let money come in any which way through anybody's earning? But it didn't happen. And what I did is personally, I inspired one university. I said, why don't you create a center of excellence 1.5 years ago? So KIT University in Bhubaneswar, they created a center of excellence. We tied up with a startup entrepreneur in IoT. Now they are training IoT engineers. And now other universities are waking up. I read actually sometimes 3-4 universities are showing interest. And good our government has decided now to fund every university to actually build the center of excellence for new skills. Now what we have to do is we have to intelligently spot, like Mr. Premji, like Mr. Narayanmurthy, like Mr. Kapil Chandra in TCS, 30-40 years ago, they spotted a new industry is coming, new business coming, and created billions of dollars of wealth for them, their shareholders, and billions of dollars salary for their employees and contributed to society. Now young India has to think what are the new skills are coming, new technologies are coming, and how do we make entrepreneurship in those areas and build skills. That's the call of the nation. That's actually the call of the nation. It's not particular movement or that movement. That's actually the call of the nation. So this is where there is shortage, where there is surplus. You could see in the low-end skills there is shortage, high-end skills there is surplus. This is supply-side innovation and reforms in education and skilling. If you look at edX, Coursera, Udacity, Skill India, and other NSTC program. Now, these are the supply-side support for Skilling India and preparing Indians for world requirement. And this is an illustration of what Kerala has done. You could see 40% of India's remittance inflow is by Kerala alone. And if Kerala has done it, why not the rest of all our countries? Maharashtra, I always say Maharashtra is actually Maharashtra. If you look at the history, industrial history of India, or any history of India, or the patriotism, fighting the British, fighting the Mughals, you look at any history of India, Maharashtra has always been the leader, the number one. Now, actually, Maharashtra can be the flag bearer, leader, even in not only industrialization, but scaling India, scaling Maharashtra, and making people ready in technology and skills to work outside. So from IMC, we have actually decided that we will work closest to the Maharashtra government and help them in this kind of initiatives. What should industry do? What should skill providers do? The industry has to identify emerging skills based on disruptive technologies because they are businessmen. They look at value migration. They spot where the value is. You'll find always industrialist first spots where the value is, which business will do. So they have to see the disruptive technologies, and when they start the business, they have to identify the skills and facilitate the process. Actively promote technology training of workforce, apprenticeship and CSR funds, which our government, Maharashtra government, under Deepak's leadership, apprenticeship act is changing. The CSR fund, we have 25,000 crores we get every year as the CSR fund, thanks to the Companies Act. Now this is a compulsory money. I was part of the team which was helping Prakash Badal, who was the chairman of planning committee, skills development committee. So he wanted us to help him draft actually the skill development draft. And I was working very closely with him. I said, sir, why don't you make CSR fund part of it should go to skill development because it actually helps the company to get skilled people. And second is, why don't you do right to skill as part of your skill policy? He said, can we do that? I said, of course sir, we can do that. So we actually suggested 25% of that 25,000 crores should actually go to skill development initiative. And second, he said, we can actually, right to skill could be a little controversial, but we can make the journey, but then not make the statutory. I said, whatever, if you do right to skill, what happens is, it almost becomes like a responsibility. So both CSR fund and actually apprenticeship training can contribute to skill development. Partner with engineering colleges, polytechnics and ITIs to update their curriculum, support faculty exchange program industry. You will cry if you go to an ITI. You will really cry. That in Maharashtra, keep apart other parts of the country because other parts anyway is terrible. Because what has happened is nobody has given any time to change the course curriculum. What they have been trained 30 years ago, they have been trained now. We were in Germany last year, Orange was there. They wanted us to study actually German dual vocational education system. We figured out in Germany, if any technology anywhere in the world is being talked about, like I said, emerging technologies, so Germany has a council. Government people, academic people, and industry people. So that's a council. First thing the society, the council does is, they say MIT has talked about artificial intelligence, machine learning, virtual reality, augmented reality. What it means, how it will impact our automobile industry, which is actually creating highest value for Germany, our other industries, what impact it will create. So the industrialists and the academician and the government officer together, they analyze. Then they say, to meet the need, if we don't meet the need, German will not be competitive. So let the industrialist from the industry angle upgrade its machineries, plants and tools. Let the academic person take care of upgradation of the academic education curriculum framework. Let the government person facilitate the policy framework so that these things happen. In our country, 30 years ago, जो हुआ था अभी भी चल रहा है, कैसे चलेगा? Because what happens is the technology has changed. Now you are training people, suppose for example welding. Now 3D printing is doing the welding work. If you don't train people, what will you do after going to the industry, after going to the company? Who to blame? It's not nobody to blame. We all come together and work. You know, when I met Deepakji, he's determined. He's actually, when you hear him, you listen, you will find out he's an inspirational leader. He said actually, I am going to transform the ideas. And he asked, can you help, can you work with me? I said, all my times are 50% of my time, don't tell outside this room, is for you. When my salary comes from Reliance. So, I talked about very robust universal vocational education system for skill providers. Focus on developing STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematical skills. Leverage education technology to enhance the quality and reach of vocational education. Cultivate awareness and inspiration for learning along subject knowledge. Collaborate with the industry for plant research. So we can actually all work together. India's path to prosperity, our forefathers said the world is one family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Let's live, learn, work and prosper together. Actually, Indians have always been the path providers. Whenever the world has been in distress, India has actually come up and supported. Look at the history, not the immediate 200, 300, 500, 1,000 years of history of India. Look at actually thousands of years ago. What did India teach to the world? Today is the International Yoga Day. You should have listened to what the Prime Minister talked about and other people talked about. India has always wished for the welfare and well-being of the world. You know, we worship a goddess. She is actually, we say Goddess Lakshmi. Goddess Lakshmi is actually the goddess of welfare, well-being of the world. And we actually pray, worship Lord Krishna. He is actually the Lord of welfare of the world. And that has been the history and the story of India. And we always have cherished Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam regardless of religion, caste, creed, all these. We connect to a greater purpose. We connect to, Anubhadra, Krataviyantu, Vishwadha philosophy, let the good gods from all sides of the universe come to our mind. We actually nurture, nourish welfare and well-being of all. So let's contribute in Skill India for the best service to the world. Thank you so much.